One of the most common questions I receive concerning Tonex, and in fact Amplitube 5, is how in fact the two different pieces of software work together, and if we can utilize Tonex Pedal with Amplitube 5 and so on and so forth. So today I wanted to dive deep and show you exactly what is and what is not possible when utilizing Tonex with Amplitube 5 and vice versa. So here we are in Amplitube 5, and we can see the very familiar layout where we can choose Amplitube gear and amplifiers and pedals and speaker cabinets and whatnot. But up here in the top right corner, we have a Tonex tab that we can select. And when we do this, it lists our Tonex models that we have available. Now, the first thing that I want to touch on that's a very common question is folks asking that if they come to Tonex and create a preset based off of a Tonex tone model, but adding in delay or reverb or compression and then save that as a preset, can you then open that preset up inside of Amplitube 5? And the answer is simply no, you cannot. That is not compatible. A Tonex preset cannot be opened in Amplitube. What can be is just the raw Tonex tone model, and that's what we're seeing here. So we could sort these by the models that we have, and we can see that any amp that uses this skin will be in the list over here. That has already been imported into your Tonex database. So you can see I have some from IK that are included in my Tonex Max license, and then some of my own. So I could select any of these tone models, and I can sort and choose whichever of these that I want over here. But I can also go to a collections tab and just sort of see the owned collections we have that we can filter for either guitar and bass or bass alone, guitar alone, by character, clean, drive, and so on and so forth. We can also go up here and pick pedal only captures or DI only captures by unselecting these. Let's say we wanted only DI tone models or amp only tone models that did not include a cab. We can select that, or DI captures that include the amp and a pedal. So we can filter it quite nicely. We also have a favorites button. I don't have any favorites selected right now, but if I did have a favorite selected, I could simply filter by that as well. Now, something very interesting that happens here is if I have an amp only Tonex capture and I select that, you will notice that the cab is automatically enabled, and we can go in here and pair it up with any of the Amplitube 5 cabs that we have at our disposal. The interesting thing is if I come over here and get rid of the DI captures and pick one that has a cab, watch down here what happens to the built-in cab in Amplitube. When I pick one of my tone models, let's say from my Soul Double Cream Ultimate Collection, which is a tone model based off a Soldano SLO30 into a great 212 Rev cabinet, if I select that, it automatically disables the cab, which is really great. So we're not having a cab feed into another cab. But if I come in here and select, that's a DI capture, I could select this. You'll notice that it engages the cabinet because we're going to want a cabinet on this particular tone model since we're missing a cab. So that's a really great and handy feature. You'll also notice I'm using this little hamburger style button up here in the top right corner, which can go from the amp view where we can make changes, and we also have advanced parameters that we can mess around with. We have noise gate, post compressor, the cab, the actual tone model amp block, and a reverb that we can choose from. We can reset that chain if we so desire, or we can go back to a list of different tone models that are available. So very, very handy stuff. So let's say I chose one of these captures, let's say with a cab. No, select that. This is a cleaner sounding capture. You'll notice the cab has been disabled because we have a cab automatically enabled in this amp cab capture. What we can also do now is go over to pedal only captures. And if I come back here and scroll to some of my captures that I have from my Green Scream Ultimate Collection, which is a great set of stomp only captures based off of an Ibanez TS808 tube screamer. But if I choose one of these, I can drag this down before the amp and utilize this particular pedal only tone model feeding into this amp and cab model. And I can actually have numerous pedals beforehand as such, and we can come over here, we can edit the settings on those if we so desired, tweaking the EQ just like we could with an amp cab capture. We could add reverb if we wanted. I'm not sure why we would want to necessarily do that, but it's all there if we so desire. So we can actually add in and stack overdrive pedal Tonex tone models before the amp. And if I don't want those anymore, I can simply drag them off, and that works really nicely. Now, once we have some of this set up in this manner, and let's just add one of those stomp tone models back in. And let's say I wanted to go over to Amplitube now and maybe add an X space reverb in there, maybe grab an X time delay. We can tweak our preset, and when we're ready, we can click here and save this as a preset. Now, if I do save this as a preset, and I'll just do a quick save here, I call it JS preset. You know, I could go to other presets, and then when I come back to my JS preset I just saved, it's going to load up all my settings from that. Now, the one thing we cannot do is load this onto Tonex Pedal or open this up inside of Tonex app. They're not compatible. Amplitube presets and Tonex presets are not compatible. So this cannot be added to Tonex Pedal, and that's one of the most common questions I get. Folks asking if we can take these presets where we've added all these effects from Amplitube and whatnot. Would be very nice if they open in Tonex Pedal, but that's not possible since we do not have all of the Amplitube effects and whatnot inside of Tonex Pedal, nor can we have two tone models, such as an overdrive tone model feeding into an amp or amp cab tone model. It's just not possible on Tonex Pedal. But we can utilize these within Amplitube, and if we're using a DAW, maybe working on a session, we could create some great presets within Amplitube, combining the effects from Amplitube and the tone models we have available from Tonex. Now, coming over to the Tonex app, obviously all we can do in the Tonex app is utilize what we've always known. We can create a Tonex preset by taking an existing tone model, tweaking those with the existing noise gate, the different cabs that we have available, VIRs or the tone model cabs or even custom IRs, compression, modulation, delay, and reverb, creating a Tonex preset, which again, we cannot take that preset and load that into Amplitube 5. It's not compatible. But whatever preset we create within Tonex, we can transfer to the pedal using the librarian tab. And as you can see, I don't currently have a Tonex pedal hooked up. So I hope that that answers some questions that I get quite often, and these are very frequently asked questions about how the Tonex and Amplitube ecosystems can work together. It is really great if we do have Amplitube and we can utilize our tone models, but we have to create them as a separate Amplitube preset, which can then only be used within Amplitube and not on Tonex Pedal or within Tonex software. So I hope that answers all the questions that I've received and clears up a lot of the workflow within Amplitube on how we can utilize Tonex tone models within the Amplitube software. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please like the video and share it with anybody you think would get some use or enjoyment out of watching it. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell notification to get notified when I put new content out. I'll be back really soon with some more. Thank you guys again so much for sharing your time with me. I'm going to leave you today the demo video from one of my latest Tonex tone model collections. I hope you enjoy it. The links will be below to all the tones that you are going to hear on the way out. Thanks again for sharing your time with me. Ciao for now.